Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Eric.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look back at some of our favorite action movies from the era of Arnold.
Schwarzenegger is the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of these 80s and 90s cult action movies and breaking them all the way down. Welcome back, Kevin.
Hey, Eric. How's it going, man? You're crushing those gimlets.
Oh my God, the gimlets are going down good.
I finished that bottle I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I moved on to a one called Green River bourbon. It's like extreme Western Kentucky distillery, Owensville or Owensboro or something like that. It's solid.
The verdict is solid then.
Yeah, no, why not, man?
All right, okay.
At this point, anything is going to taste good.
I'm old enough now where I can't mix and match. So I gotta pick something, and then that's it for the evening.
That's
that's it.
You're probably doing it right, though.
Yeah. I've learned my lesson too many times.
But we're here with the penultimate episode of our series on They Live.
And it is going hard at this point. Balls to the wall.
I feel like this should have been a movie where the title of the movie had an exclamation point at the end, and I don't think it does, but it should have been They Live.
Yeah. That would be. Yeah, it would have been appropriate for this one.
I feel like it's more of a horror title than. It doesn't scream action sci-fi to me.
It reminds me of like the title reminds me of like Them with an exclamation mark,
dude.
right? Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like any of those 50s sort of giant ant type sci-fi movies.
But I feel like we're reading it wrong though, based on the mural and earlier in the movie where it's like They Live, We Sleep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like we're saying it. They live. Like we're saying it wrong. It's just like they live.
Right, we're not really living.
We're not living. They're the ones who are living, right? So that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to pick your brain a little bit before we get into it. Like, what are your favorite Carpenter movies? John Carpenter.
Well, I mean, for me, the easy win is The Thing. I love The Thing.
It's kind of perfect.
It is, yeah. And I'll be honest, this one comes in at number 2 for me. Yeah, it has all the earmarks of Carpenter.
Yeah.
But it also, there's subtext in this movie. I mean, it's not particularly subtle, but I do appreciate the commentary that he's taking and the stance that he's taking. And, there is a passion that comes through with it. Whether you agree with his perspectives or not, you can tell that he is really breathing his life energy.
Well, he has something to say.
Right, exactly.
And
right?
I love Big Trouble in Little China. I'm not sure that it has anything to say.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
For me, I love The Thing. I think The Thing is kind of the perfect sort of place where the Carpenter genre, paranoia scares, like jump scares, meet him having a little bit of something to say.
Yeah.
And of course, to me, Halloween is the all-time best horror movie.
Really?
For me,
interesting. I didn't know you liked it that much.
I think it's like the prototype of like the slasher genre, at least. The Exorcist might be a better film, but as far as like the slasher movie goes, like it started and probably peaked with Halloween. Yeah. And then I love Big Trouble in Little China, and this is right there. Like this is top 5 Carpenter for sure. Maybe like an Escape from New York or something like that also slots in. But yeah, this is great. That's where I am a big Carpenter guy.
So I will also tell you that highly underrated movie, but I love this movie is Memoirs of an Invisible Man with
I don't know that one.
Chevy Chase. Oh, it's so
at all.
It is basically a weird remake of The Invisible Man.
Okay.
But it stars Chevy Chase and it's more of a comedy. It's a comedy. So I don't even remember what kind of character he is, but he is hungover and he's going to some big meeting where they're revealing this new invisibility technology and he passes out and there's some sort of explosion And he is the only one left in the building that explodes, and he's turned invisible as a result.
Shit.
And then the whole movie is him trying to figure out what happened to him, who caused it, and if anybody can turn him back to being invisible again.
Interesting.
Love that movie.
When did it come out? After this, I guess?
This was according to IMDb, is 1992.
Okay.
So this was actually, according to IMDb, this was the next movie he directed after They Live.
Really? So he took a little time off. Okay.
4 years between movies. I love it. It was, it got mediocre reviews, but talk to anybody who's seen this movie. Everybody loves it, right? No one dislikes it.
So my friend Kyle, who was on our Conan the Destroyer series, I was talking with him just earlier today, and he was raving about two that I have never seen, Prince of Darkness.
I've never seen Prince of Darkness.
And In the Mouth of Madness, he said, are both amazing.
He did an adaptation of In the Mouth of Madness?
I don't know anything about that. Is that like a, what is that? Is that a Lovecraft or something?
It's a Lovecraftian thing. I did not know that he had done an adaptation of that. Wow.
He said both those are spectacular. So I need to, I still have blind spots in my John Carpenter viewing because I've seen a lot of the old shit.
Yeah.
Like The Fog and The Assault on Precinct 13. All those are rad. But I haven't seen the stuff he did like into the 90s.
I'm gonna controversial take here. I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm sorry if people stop listening to the podcast because of this. I liked Escape from LA more than I liked Escape from New York. There, I said it.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know.
I think I saw that on HBO way back in the day when it was newish, and I didn't love it, but I remember nothing about it other than that I didn't love it, and that there might have been a scene where he was hang gliding.
Yes, he was a scene where he's hang gliding.
Okay, that's all I remember about it.
That is Escape from LA.
I don't think I'd ever even seen Escape from New York. I think I'd only seen Escape from LA.
So, full disclosure, I did see Escape from LA before I saw Escape from New York.
Yeah, same.
And I don't know what it was. It was just the perfect Eric movie because it was the perfect blend of silliness with action and then just the slightest amount of subtext, right? It's just like all of the ingredients were put together in just the right amounts. Plus, you've got Bruce Campbell cameoing as a plastic surgeon who's gone mad. He looks like a bad Ken doll, right? I love Snake Plissken, one of my favorite.
I need to revisit
characters.
this.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, like, look, you can't match Ernest Borgnine's like Taxi Driver,
Cabby.
Yeah, right. Like that was phenomenal. But then, you know, on the other side, you've got Peter Fonda playing a burnout surfer who Snake like surfs with along the LA aqueduct. Right.
I kind of remember that too now that you're telling me. Yeah.
I don't know. There was something about the hokiness of Escape from LA that I found extremely endearing.
How did they justify that it was a prison? Had it broken off from the mainland?
So the premise is that the San Andreas Fault exploded and it moved the entirety of LA County.
It was basically the plot of Superman the movie.
Yeah, exactly. What if Superman had?
What if there's a bigger earthquake or whatever and it broke off?
It broke off and LA became an island.
Okay.
And so New York was the East Coast prison and LA was the West Coast prison.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that was the premise, right?
I guess Escape from New York was set in the future, right? I don't know if they said a year. They probably did.
I don't remember the year, but yeah, they were both at the time were ostensibly in the near future.
Okay.
Both of which now are in the past.
Sure, yeah. It's wild how some movies like Back to the Future 2, predict the future. It was nowhere close. Right. And then other movies like this one, or like Running Man, predict a future that's scarily close.
It invented reality TV to a certain extent.
Running Man, Whereas if there was a show where people were being hunted to the death, people would watch the shit out of that. Yeah, dude. Yeah. So, but
anyway,
we digress.
There's plenty, and you're right. There's clearly gaps in my Carpenter knowledge but I have not presented Prince of Darkness, and I had no idea that he'd done an adaptation in The Mouth of Madness. So,
and he's a big Lovecraft fan. Yeah, so that makes sense.
Yeah, so I'll definitely have to check those out.
Okay, you gonna try to catch us up on the plot here?
I'll do my best. This is it's no Face Off, but so. Nada walks into LA. He's clearly a drifter, finds himself a job at a construction site. He meets a character, Frank, played by Keith David. They go to a homeless encampment, like sort of a shanty town. While there, he meets some of the people. He sees the leader of the shanty town go into a church rather suspiciously. He investigates a church, finds out that the Shantytown leader is a part of a rebel group, complaining about some sort of like brainwashing signal. Can't figure it out. He finds boxes of some sort of paraphernalia, contraband. Cops raid the church, crush the shantytown to the ground. Nada shows back up, finds a box, opens it later in an alley, sees that they're sunglasses, puts them on. World is revealed to him. It's in black and white. All the billboards of propaganda: obey, consume, marry and procreate, yada yada. Action, action, action ensues. Kidnaps a woman who is named Holly Thompson. They go back to her place. She beats him over the head with a wine bottle. When he tries to convince her that the shit's going down, he falls out, hobbles away back into downtown LA. She very coldly says that she's fine over the phone to, we presume, are police officers.
Yeah.
And then, he falls asleep in an alley in the middle of the night, and I think that's basically where we are. Yeah,
you were amazing on that, Eric.
One of my better efforts, I will say. I'm going to say it was one of my better efforts.
Yeah. So now it's early the next morning. Nada comes wandering back into downtown LA. It was like this beautiful sunrise, wasn't it? It was amazing.
Yeah,
I wondered. I guess it was real. I don't think they were matte painting.
LA can be a beautiful place when it wants to be.
That's cool, man. But so he goes back to the construction site where Frank is hard at work there. He stops for a water break. Nada pops out from a hiding place. Frank is like, you better not let anyone see. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
I will agree. Like, why would Nada come back here?
No, I guess such a weird move.
He's looking for Frank, I assume.
Yeah, I mean,
that's his only friend, right?
His friend, even like it's the only person he knows in the city.
Days,
right? Exactly. Yeah.
And Nada's like, I've had a rough couple days. Right?
And he's like the makeup on him too at this point. Like he is just bloated from bruises everywhere. Yeah.
So Frank says, you killed a lot of people. And Nada says, I didn't kill any people.
Right, yeah.
Right? I got to show you what I'm talking about. And I think this seems to make Frank think that Nada's even more insane than he was, right? And I wondered if they... Now, this is what it's weird, because it made me wonder if they cut the scenes together in out of order from how that was scripted, because Nada, at this point, he doesn't have he doesn't have anything he could show Frank.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's like, I got to show you something, makes me think that maybe he had already retrieved the glasses and then they decided to change the order of the scenes around or something like that.
It's possible for sure, but either way,
Yeah. So Frank's like, look, I got a wife and kids. You need to leave me alone, dude. And Nada, then he wanders the streets a little bit. We see his face is all over the TV.
A very young Roddy Piper, by the way.
Yeah, was it different? No mullet?
Yeah, no mullet, very short hair, clearly younger. I always love it when production designers and prop masters find old photos of actors and have an excuse to put them in movies, right? That might have been like a college graduation photo.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
like his early wrestling days or something like that.
Very early wrestling days. It was clearly a real photo. That's something that they had captured for the movie. Yeah.
So now Nada, he returns to the alley where he had previously stashed the box of sunglasses. And the trash can is empty, right? Which shouldn't be the biggest shock in the world. Like, trash cans get emptied.
Remember,
that's their nature.
In the beginning, when he's hiding that in the trash can, he's like, well, I hope you're coming back in a couple of hours.
That's not the best place. You don't know what the schedule is for pickup here. But then he sees there's a garbage truck that seems to have just made a pickup. So it's an extremely lucky break for him. He runs to the truck. He pulls a lever and makes the back of the truck open up. He climbs in there, finds the box, and just then the garbage truck just dumps its load for some reason.
I didn't understand that at all.
Presumably they wouldn't know the back little hatch is open, but they're still tilting it for some reason.
Right. So that actually threw me out. That was one of the moments in the movie where I'm like,
yeah, I have no idea why they'd be tilting the load like that. Now you could hear there was some sort of a disagreement going on between the garbage men, and then one of them is like, oh yeah, well watch this. And then it tilted backwards, and I'm like, I don't know what was going on there.
No.
But there could have just been a thing where it was smushing the trash or something, add some drama to that.
Yeah.
Some sort of, or the hatch closed, with him inside of it, and now he's trapped. There could have been a little something there.
Yeah.
but there wasn't. So
it's fine.
You know,
it happens.
Let's keep the story moving.
Yeah.
So now he walks back out of the alley, but Frank is there with a handful of money that he says he's owed to Nada for the little bit of work that he did. He's like, it's 1 week's pay. It's the best I could do, which is like, I feel like that's a lot more than what he's actually owed.
I feel like he's done like 1.5 days.
At most, there's been 2 days at most,
yeah.
right? Ain't no way Frank told the foreman, hey, can I get that money that you owe to the mass murderer, Nada? And the foreman like went along with it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, actually, can you give me a week's pay for him?
Can you prorate it? Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. But there's a stand-up move from Frank, considering that he could have also just pocketed that money and gone about his business. And then, did you notice he tossed the money right into the box?
That was awesome.
That was incredible.
That was such a good throw. Yeah. I
don't know if I imagine they just got it by accident.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes those happy accidents are the best fucking moments.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
So now Nada puts on the sunglasses, I guess, to confirm that Frank is a real human, which he is, of course. There's never been like a realer person, I find, than Frank.
No, hell no. Frank ain't gonna be no fucking alien.
So
no way.
Frank turns to leave, and Nada calls for him, don't leave. I'm wondering, how did Frank even find him? Like, was this... that shouldn't have Nada had earlier have been like, meet me in the alley later or some shit like that.
So the only thing I can think of is that there is a moment during the upcoming fight, which I'm super jelly that you're the one who gets to do this episode, where he breaks the back of a windshield and Frank is like really bummed.
That seemed like it was Frank's car.
Is that where his car was parked? Right? If so, then that would explain it. But
sense.
Then, like, what a coincidence.
He could have even been like sleeping in the car.
Yeah,
we don't really know.
Right. So, like, I don't know. Again, once you start breaking down these things, it falls apart a little bit. And
I'm not sure that it was meant to be Frank's car. But it had to be, right? Anyway, we're going to get there. We don't want to jump ahead to ourselves.
We're just jumping ahead. Yeah.
Somehow Frank found him in the alley here. So Frank tells Nada that Nada needs to leave and go hide and hope nobody ever finds you, which is wise advice.
Yeah.
Nada then walks towards Frank and is insisting that he put the sunglasses on. I don't really know why Frank is so resistant about it, but at this point, like, this is the other focal point of the movie, right?
Yeah, this is the point we've been building to. This is one of the classic fist fights in cinema.
So when Nada gets too close to Frank punches him in the face. And Nada's like telling him, look, I'm just trying to save you and save your family. And Frank goes in to get in Nada's face, and then Nada punches Frank. And then, strangely, Frank's like, you couldn't save your own family. Yeah, which was maybe there's something else we didn't hear about kids or a wife or whatever. Yeah. I feel like there's something that we don't know about, that a scene that was written maybe but not shot, you know?
Yeah.
So Nada tells him, put on the sunglasses or we're really going to fight. And at this point, I feel like now it's just a matter of principle.
Yeah. That's almost exactly it.
I'm not going to do what you say. Like, no matter what, I'm not doing what you say just because it's what you're telling. I don't listen. I don't let people tell me what to do, you know?
It falls into John Carpenter's anti-authoritarianism, right? Like,
sure.
He hates authority of any. The second you tell him to do something,
it's like, it might be a thing I want to do, but if someone's telling me to do it, no, I'm not doing it.
Exactly. It's a straight up pure Carpenter moment.
So, but Frank says no. They start to sort of circle each other. They exchange a couple little combination punches. They knock each other down. Nada keeps saying, like, I don't want to fight. Just put on the glasses. Yep. And Frank, he punches Nada some more. Nada tries to, like, low blow, punch him in the dick.
Dude,
and he's like,
shots are killing me.
You dirty motherfucker, or something like that. And then headbutts him a few times. Yep. Then Nada thrusts the sunglasses at Frank, and Frank sort of tosses him down and is like about to stomp on him. And Nada's like, no. And then Frank knocks Nada down again. He tosses the sunglasses to the side. Now Nada's like pissed off. So he runs and he tackles Frank. This fight is so epic.
It is so epic.
Like, it's happening over several minutes.
My favorite part of this whole thing is John Carpenter was explaining that when he was writing the script, he literally would put on a single page, "The fight continues," and then went to a new page, "The fight continues."
I saw where he was like, I want it to be like those old school, like John Wayne fights.
Yeah, where
they just punch their way around the whole town.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I read too.
Yeah. So they exchange punches some more. Then Nada suplexes Frank, a little wrestling move.
Yep.
That shit looked painful as fuck. I couldn't tell if they were doing it on the real pavement or if they had like a mat.
Yeah, they did. So I actually did a little bit of research on this. So the fight took 2 months to choreograph, and they did half of it in John Carpenter's backyard. So they were choreographing it for so long, and then when they shot it on location, but they laid down these painted mats that looked like asphalt.
Yeah, because when he slammed him, it looked like it was on pavement.
Yeah,
but okay.
Yeah, and they also had like pads all over their bodies while they were doing it.
I mean, you couldn't do this. You could do it, but you'd really risk hurting somebody.
And according to both Roddy Piper and Keith David in separate interviews, they hit each other for real.
They said everything except the face punches were for real.
The face and the groin, everything else was real, which is like crazy.
Apparently, Keith David had some sort of a boxing background.
Yeah,
like
he did.
An amateur boxer or something back in the day.
Yeah, he was an amateur boxer back in the day, which comes through in a couple of those hits, man.
Yeah, I mean, likewise with the acting chemistry, they had like great sort of fighting chemistry as well.
According to John Carpenter, after the end of this scene, like they wrapped for the day after that, and then they came back the next day and they were best friends.
Of course.
There was like some bond that was made like shooting that fight sequence.
Well, there's something about just dudes.
Yeah.
Dudes can have a knockdown drag out. Like, let's punch. We're going to work it out.
We're just going to work it out.
And then we
can
be friends again.
Right, exactly.
And it's kind of crazy like that.
And that's like kind of what this scene is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the thing on the commentary when I was watching. I was like, I think it was Piper was explaining. He's like, the thing is, even though they're fighting, these two guys, they really like each other.
Yeah.
So they're sort of like, I hate to be beating you up.
Right. It's like, this isn't what I want to do.
This is what it's come to.
Right, exactly.
But like, I'm not trying to really hurt you. I'm just trying to make you see my point of view here.
Using my fists.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to punch you until you come around to my way of thinking. You know? But yeah, so they're fighting. Frank starts biting Nada.
Yep.
Now they roll around some more. They're punching each other. Nada like trying to gouge Frank's eyes out.
I mean, it's a brutal fucking fight. Like,
and then Frank,
it is just.
How many knees to the dick and balls does Frank give Nada?
I don't know. There was so many.
It was over and over again. He's like just turned his whole like shit into mush. You know? So then Frank tries to walk away again, but Nada comes at him with like a piece of wood that he picked up, a 2x4.
Yep.
Nada's swinging and missing. And then he breaks out the windshield of that car, which I thought was probably Frank's car based on the reaction.
Yeah. And like he even says like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry."
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And watching the commentary track, Piper said like it was more of just a realization like, "Oh shit, dude. Like I'm not trying to kill you. I'm sorry. Like if I had hit you, that really would have hurt you. I'm sorry." But I feel like it should have to me watching it as a viewer, that had to be Frank's car.
Yeah, that is the way I interpreted it.
I didn't mean to break your windshield.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. But yeah, then they wrestle some more. Nada gets Frank in a headlock, and he's like, "Put on the glasses." And Frank, it was funny when before I had watched the movie, you were talking about the fight.
Yeah.
And you were saying, but I'm not going to tell you what they're fighting about. Because it's something so silly, right? It's like about wear these glasses. He's like, I won't do it. No. But yeah. Yep. He's got him in the headlock telling him, put the glasses on. Frank, then he flings Nada to the ground, picks up the glasses, places them right down on Nada's chest, and is like, fuck you. Okay. That was amazing.
It's so good.
That Keith David also was so convincingly able to like hold his own in a fake fight against like a professional fake fighter.
We've seen fucking Piper shirtless at this point. Like the man is cut.
And it was believable.
Like he is superhero cut. Like he is cut in a way that movie stars were not expected to be. Dude.
Yeah.
Like crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So then he goes to walk away. Nada like just sort of slowly approaches him again. and then just grabs him and they start punching some more. And then Nada suplexes him with the rarely seen gut wrench suplex, like an interesting one.
Oh man.
Tries to put the glasses down on Frank's face while he's dazed. The fight was long.
Dude, 5.5 minutes.
In a movie that's only 90 minutes long, that's like 6% of the movie. It's this fight.
Jeff Amata actually, when he was speaking with Carpenter about it, was like, are you really going to let this fight go on this long? He's like, yeah, I am.
I love that. I love it. So now, Frank has the glasses on. Nada drags him out of the alley and he's like, look. And then Frank sees, that the streets are just teeming with creatures.
Yeah.
So Frank's in shock, as anybody would be. He did a great job of playing it like he sort of had gotten weak in the knees.
Yeah.
Like Nada was supporting him. So then he sees one of the surveillance drones flying overhead. I feel like it's a big mistake for the creatures to not give these drones like the capability to kill somebody.
Right. I feel like putting guns on these drones would have made a huge difference.
It would have been wise.
Yeah.
But so Nada drags Frank out of sight. And then he says, brother, life's a bitch. And she's back in heat.
Oh, my God. There's so many good...
I don't even really quite know what it means.
No, it doesn't mean anything.
Maybe like life's a bitch and she's trying to fuck you again. I don't know,
man. But...
So later on, they're walking down the street. They're each wearing a pair of the sunglasses. They're like beat to shit.
Yeah.
I feel like they should have had the box of sunglasses with them, but they don't seem to have them. It doesn't really matter, I guess. So Frank can't believe the world that he's seeing through the glasses, right? They walk into this dirt motel, ask for a room.
Which...
They're both just covered in like cuts and blood and bruises.
Amazing. Where they both walk up to the counter and they're standing next to each other. And Frank goes, I want a room. I love that shot so much.
Nada looked especially fucked up. Like he had lost the fight, really.
He was the loser in that fight. Yeah.
But then they hobble upstairs to their room. They both like let out a big sigh of relief or exhaustion. And then Nada's like, ain't love grand. I don't really get it, but it kind of worked anyway.
Oh, my God. I don't know. There's so many of his lines in this movie that don't make any sense, even within context, but they feel so right when he says them, regardless of sensicalness or whatever.
So then later on, Frankie's looking out the window with the glasses at like taking in the real world, right?
Yeah.
And it's got to be like realizing you've been living your whole life in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
100%.
holy shit. Like,
how overwhelming has
yesterday,
that got to be?
all of this was so real to me.
Yeah.
And now I see what I'm seeing, right? There's just brainwashing billboards everywhere. The surveillance drones are cruising around.
Yeah.
Nada's getting cleaned up in the sink. And I want to point out, like, again, dude was fucking jacked.
Jesus Christ. I know.
If you saw him in real life, he would be like, whatever, at the pool of the beach. That would be the biggest dude you've ever seen in your life.
Particularly in 88. Like that, that body type was not common or, right, until like the superhero movies of the early 2000s.
Then you put him next to the other pro wrestlers and he seemed like average, right?
I know.
Or small.
I know.
But it's like, you just see him by himself and you're like, if you saw that dude, you'd be like, holy fucking shit, look at this man.
Yeah.
How do you get that big?
Yeah.
But anyway, Nada warns Frank not to wear the glasses too long. He's like, it starts to feel like there's a knife turning in your skull, which is like an awesome description verbally, right? So Frank has a million questions. He's like, how long have they been here? Who are they? Where did they come from? All good questions. Nada has no answers for him, which is fair. Also, Nada's
he's like 10 minutes ahead of him.
He's new to this shit also, right?
Yeah.
So Nada, he gives him the smart ass and says, well, they ain't from Cleveland, which seems to really piss Frank off.
I love it. No matter how bleak things get, Nada always has a quip, like just queued up, just ready to go.
So then, Frank's like, well, what's the plan? And Nada's like, we're going to wait. And Frank doesn't like that plan, right? He's like... And Nada's like, well, if you have a better plan, you let me know. But I get the impression Frank is clearly smarter than Nada.
Yeah.
Like just in general, right? And Frank's like, well, look, there's other people around who know what's going on here. Like, let's look for the people who made these glasses. That's a plan.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
yeah,
Not like, let's just sit in the hotel room. What's going to happen there? So he points out, well, they could all be dead already.
Yeah.
Which I guess is true, but it's still the best option. So later on, dudes are just crushing beers and eating snacks.
I mean, as you do after a fucking cathartic fight.
That's how I tackle my problems.
Yeah, right. You
Like,
just crush a fucking
let me
few
just
beers.
eat my way through this.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So, but it looked like just had a big ass block of cheese next to him with like a little knife stuck in it. He's working his way through this block of cheese. And yeah, Frank had like a bag of Lay's or something, and they're crushing beers. So Nada tells Frank about how his daddy used to physically abuse him. It was like disturbing.
Yeah, it was. It was really dark.
It was strange, upsetting. He's like, my daddy held a razor blade to my throat.
Right. Yeah,
and all this.
exactly.
So he says he ran away from home when he was 13.
Yeah, it took a real dark. I was watching it.
Yeah.
Because I had forgotten that the first time I watched the movie, and then I was watching it again, researching for the show, and I'm like, whoa, things got like grounded and real all of a sudden for a second.
I found myself wondering, like, is this autobiographical or Roddy Piper?
That was like sort of the vibe that I got. Like someone.
This is strange. It doesn't really like. It has no direct connection to the story.
Yeah, tonally, it felt completely out of place. But anyway, I mean, it was impactful, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of anything else, I mean, it was a moment I remembered.
Right. So then Frank starts saying, well, maybe the creatures have like always been here, just sort of taking pleasure in watching people be cruel to each other.
Which is not unreasonable.
It does raise the question of like the when did this start?
Right.
Thing, because they don't ever like they don't resolve that.
They only found the signal 8 months ago. They don't ever establish how long
I feel like they've been here for a while.
Yeah,
I think.
there's no question.
At some point, I guess there was a dramatic shift in America where, like, I think you can believe in capitalism without being greedy. Like, you can be a capitalist and also still believe in sharing the wealth. And doing a bit of research, like I know John Carpenter, as we've said, said that this film is a response to Reagan era America.
Yeah, very explicitly.
And I know, like, so in 1979, the average CEO of a company made 33 times what their average employee made. And now CEOs make 400 times what their average employee makes. I do think, like, to me, that's a symptom of a problem.
Right. There's a larger issue than just that disparity.
Like, it was just recently in the news, the CEO of my company made like $52 million last year. And while the company's doing layoffs.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this is fucked. Like, this is the shit that, like Frank had said earlier, like, it makes you want to fucking put a sledgehammer through this motherfucker's windshield.
Right, exactly. I mean, like, that's why we're on Frank's side, like, from the very beginning.
There's a real problem here with greed.
Yeah.
Making more money than you could spend in a lifetime.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with all that while your employees are getting laid off or not making enough money to put their kids in college? Like, it's fucked.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't mean to take like the whole like political turn on shit, but I just think there's a gap in the society that this movie predicted.
Very, very accurately, by the way.
And like, it's not even a political party thing. It's like a class warfare thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what bothered Carpenter, was like seeing the middle class, like working class America being disintegrated.
If you listen to Carpenter, he is not a partisan by any stretch of the imagination, right? Like, at the time, it was the Republican Party that was big in on this, but it had nothing to do with really that party, and it had to do just with
greed.
The greed. Right. It was pure and simple, the greed of it all, right?
Yeah. This is like the Oliver Stone Wall Street era.
Yeah.
That was the thing, was like that it was good to be greedy and good to make money while making other people poor.
It's literally the only thing I remember about the Wall Street movie is greed.
And people, if you watch that movie, because Oliver Stone's a left-wing motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you watch that movie, I think like a lot of hardcore capitalists are like, oh yeah, Gordon Gekko's like a hero,
right?
You know,
he was not.
That was not the point of that movie.
You drew the wrong.
That was
message
not the point of that movie. The point, that was the villain,
right?
But anyway, we digress big time. Is that right? The guys are talking about this problem.
I mean, in a movie, in all fairness,
no, this movie's fucking deep.
It is. It's really deep. And this is really why it's number 2 for me, right?
Yeah.
Behind the Thing. It's because it's a great, I mean, we literally just got past a 5.5 minute long fight sequence.
And now they're having a deep conversation.
Right, exactly. I mean, it is one of the best things Carpenter's ever done, in my opinion.
Yeah,
like just hands down.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So they're having this debate, right? Nada's like, well, there's going to be hell to pay for these motherfuckers. He said, because I ain't daddy's little boy anymore.
That's right. And it's just like,
oof. I like that.
It was a great line.
I guess the point is like, I'm not taking this shit. I'm not going to run away again.
I'm not a child. I am a fucking.
You come at me, I'm going to fuck your shit up.
Fuck your shit up. Yeah.
I love that, dude.
It was a great line.
Like, fuck you and the click you claim. You may kill me, but I'm going to go down fighting this time.
No, I know exactly. Like we're fucking deep in on this now. Yeah.
So now it's the next morning. Frank has gone out shopping. He's got a bag of groceries. And Gilbert, the dude from earlier who was like running the homeless camp, he's rocking the sunglasses. Yeah. He's in the lobby of the hotel. He somehow tracked them down, or maybe he was just hanging out. I don't really know.
I feel like he's tracked them down. I mean, with all of the
is
nonsense,
he cruising the dirt hotels? You think?
I think he is. I think he knows that Nada is wanted, and so he's like, I got to find these guys. And so he's probably just been walking around on the streets, and he probably like caught up to him finally.
Sure.
Yeah.
So he follows Frank up to the room. Frank double checks that he's a human. With the glasses, he lets him in.
Very consistent with that, which I appreciate. Very consistent.
So this is where, like, I feel like in a longer movie, a movie with maybe more budget to spend, you would have had like 15 or 20 minutes of Frank and Nada trying to like find them.
Yeah.
But this is like, we got to keep it moving. Let's just have them find him, and skip ahead, skip all that.
Right. Like
you should have had another little action sequence, right?
Yeah, you could have had another one in there for the higher budget. Yeah.
But so Gilbert informs Nada and Frank that there's a meeting that night of the Resistance. Gilbert gives them the address, tells them, make sure you're not followed. And he says, the world needs a wake-up call, and we're going to phone it in.
So this is a great line in the context of 1988, but phoning it in has a completely different
That's true.
meaning now.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those moments where I had to like, okay, no, this movie came out in 88. I have to like remember that phoning it in means something different.
It just means literally
now.
like we're gonna
call,
get the wake-up call.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you listen to
that's true.
It's like,
true.
The world needs a wake-up call. We're gotta half-ass it. Which I thought it was. I mean, it's a good line in the moment, but like watching it 30 years later.
So then Nada like spins the chamber on what seems to be a brand new shiny pistol. Yeah, I don't know where it came from. Maybe Gilbert gave it to him. I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe Frank scored it like at a pawn shop or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Who knows?
It's fine.
So later on that night, Nada and Frank, they're approaching the meeting place. There's a dude with a fucking like ZZ Top beard and a shotgun guarding
dude, that motherfucker. Hell's Angels straight up. Yeah.
And then he tells them, there's something new going down and lets them in. There's a weird, mysterious line. He said he sort of pointed at the eyes, and I think it was about the contact lenses we're about to get to, but it was still just a strange thing.
Yeah.
So now inside the warehouse, it's crowded with people. They're chattering about plans on like bringing down the creatures. People are distributing weapons. They're sharing a list of safe house addresses. Mm-hmm. Now, the woman who was earlier at the homeless camp, I think it's maybe like Gilbert's lady.
I think, yeah, or at least an accomplice.
Sure.
I mean, yeah.
So she's there. She's like, hey, dudes, I thought you guys were killed. Good to see you again. Whatever. She has them trade in their sunglasses for contact lenses.
Just got them in.
Yeah, just got them in. They work better. There's no headaches.
Yeah, what was it? Like there's no less
interference,
right?
Yeah, I imagine it's like there's nothing seeping in around the edges.
Right.
Sure.
But can I say that this is literally the worst acting of putting in contact lenses that I've ever seen by two actors?
No, I agreed.
Neither one of them pulled this off.
Especially Frank, who looked like he's just sort of dumping it into his eye.
It was unintentionally hilarious. It may be my least favorite moment of the entire movie.
I'd be fucked in this situation because I don't wear glasses. I don't wear contacts yet.
Okay.
I can't imagine trying to learn how to do contacts.
As someone who is blinder than a bat, who has worn contacts and glasses, it's very easy once you get to used to it.
I feel like when my time comes, I am going straight to frames. I'm not trying to learn how to do contacts. I don't give a fuck anymore. But yeah, if it came, I'd be like, I need the glasses.
Like, I don't know
still.
I know.
I can't I'm not gonna wing it trying to put in lenses.
Yeah, and that's a really good observation because as someone who has worn contacts for many, many, many decades,
Okay.
They were doing it all wrong. All wrong. You don't lean over.
Even watching it, I'm like, I feel like I've seen I've had exes that wore contacts. And I'm like, this is not how putting them in goes. You don't dump them into the eye, and you're not like hunched over. Like,
I know. It was so unintentionally hilarious, and I don't understand why they left it in the movie. Honestly,
yeah, it's weird.
You could have cut after they opened up the lid,
or you could have just had a person being like, you're not actually putting it in, like, but here's how you do it,
and we'll cut before you put it in.
It's on your fingertip. You're not like dumping it out. Let me just hope this lands on my eyeball. You're gonna lose that contact lens quick.
Oh my god, amazing.
But so in the place, they have the video playing. That same like academic dude from TV earlier saying that basically all TVs are putting off a signal. Even when they're turned off, it's affecting like people's brain waves, basically. That's got to be a tape, right? Because this dude's like gone now, right? Last time we saw him, he was getting captured or killed.
He's almost certainly dead.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what to.
Yeah.
But can I say that like I think it's around this point though that they cut back to another one of the video of the academic, and he's speaking.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And he's talking about climate change.
Yes.
Which again is just like it blows my fucking mind that this movie came out in '88.
Right.
And climate change was like this fringe concept in '88.
It was kind of like, and he's saying they're terraforming.
Yeah,
basically.
they're terraforming and shit.
They're making the planet more like their planet.
I'm watching this movie again. Full disclosure, I mean, I watched this several times.
Sure.
But this is the first time in like 10 years I've rewatched it. And I'm like, there's all these things that I'm discovering now after a decade of not seeing it going, holy shit, like it was unbelievable.
Well, like, I don't know how much of that. So I've obviously not read the original story, and I wonder how much of it is Carpenter new in '88, and how much of it goes all the way back to the '60s when dude was writing this shit.
Yeah, that's a good question.
But yeah, it's pretty very like prescient.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Good word.
But yeah, no, top notch shit.
Yeah.
So they link up with the dude Gilbert, who's there.
Yeah.
He says, basically the streets are crawling with cops looking for this meeting. Gilbert explains that most of the cops are actually still like regular humans, but they've been basically told that we're like secret communists or whatever. That's like the tried and true American way of demonizing your enemies.
Blame it on communism.
They're commies. There was a dude I went to college with who he would complain about anything, like complain about the cost of a gallon of milk or the cost of a CD, and he'd be like, fucking commies. And it's like, no, what you're complaining about is capitalism, though, actually. Like, the communists would not, like, this is the opposite of communism. I mean, now communism is fucked also because human beings, by their nature,
they work
are corrupt.
on incentives. And
it's like, they're, in theory, it's a great idea, but in reality, people are corrupt motherfuckers.
Right, exactly.
And they're like, no, I'm going to drive a Mercedes while you're poor. Right? But so, Gilbert is telling them that the creatures are recruiting real human beings to join them by basically offering them like wealth and power. And then one of the dudes is like, and people are joining up with them? And he's like, oh, most of us sell out right away. Then all of a sudden we get promoted. Or our bank accounts get bigger. We start buying new houses, cars. Perfect, isn't it? We'll do anything to be rich. And I feel like that shit, that's more right now than it was then. Like, motherfucking bullshit. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's the bourbon talking. So
we're deep in episode 4, everybody. This is the reason why you stick around for episode 4 and 5, everybody.
Cock-sucking motherfuckers, man. So the man on TV, he's saying, pollution, destruction of the planet with greenhouse gases.
Sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit, but
He's like, we're making our planet like their planet. But we see that shit all the time. Fucking people and corporations are ruining the planet presumably, like, right, the planet that they and their kids and their kids' kids are going to have to live on.
Yep.
I'm like, if it was secret aliens, it would make more sense.
I know.
Then, like, you're wrecking the planet for profits today, but your kids are not going to be able to live here.
Yeah.
It's insane to me.
Absolutely.
But Frank is like, what do the creatures? Frank wants to know, what do the fuckers want?
Yeah.
And Gilbert says, like, to them, this whole planet is just another, like, we're their third world.
Damn.
Which that's been the case throughout history of, like, the rich, powerful companies, like, plundering poor countries, stripping everything they've got and then moving on. Right?
Yep. Yeah.
Colonialism shit. So the man on TV, he's saying, you know, us humans, we're the natural resource. The creatures are here to deplete us, and then they're going to move on. He says that basically the creatures want us brainwashed so that we don't resist while it's all happening. We could be pets. We could be food, but really all we are is livestock. And John Carpenter said at some point he believed in movies like aliens should be bad guys.
Yeah.
He's like they're not coming here to be friendly.
Right.
But that's like the anti-Spielberg.
Yeah.
Where I remember old interviews where Spielberg was like, said he would never make a movie where aliens were villains because there's no reason to assume they would be.
But then he broke
then he did like War of the Worlds remake and he broke his own rule. But he did, you know, E.T. and Close Encounters and all this where they're not really here to hurt us. They might just be curious.
I mean, those are also great movies. But
and it is true. Like, there's no reason to assume they would be villainous. But I also like Carpenter, like, or any, there's also not necessarily a reason to think they're coming here to make nice with us. They're obviously going to be technologically, like, superior.
Yeah.
Right? If they got here in the first place. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
That's a whole other podcast. But yes, there's an entire philosophy around the nature of, like, contact with interstellar species. Like,
what would it be like?
What would it be like?
We did on the Stargate shit with.
We're like, we did talk about Katie with that.
No, we're going to take a bomb over there because we're ready to fuck you guys up. There's no reason to assume you want to be friends.
Right. There's always the assumption of villainy. Right.
And humans are quick to violence, I think, in general, right?
But those damn tigers, like, they were always killing us. And so we just developed this, it's this long-lasting trauma relationship with violence.
Unknown, we're scared of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But so Gilbert, he takes them now to a table full of weapons. He says basically we're assembling like an assault team, in which Nada and Frank want to be part of that. I feel like, would you be down to fight? Like, if this was the scenario, would you be like, oh yeah, put me on the front lines, like I want to fucking shoot somebody?
Oh man.
Or would you be like, I want to hang back?
No, I'm such a coward. There's no way that I'm like grabbing a gun, just like wanting to be on the front lines. Like,
I don't know where I'd fall. I feel like I'm pretty fired up. Like, but when it comes down to like getting in the shit,
I don't know.
I don't want to die. But
this is one of those things that, like, and again, this is another sort of existential philosophical question. Like, you don't know which direction you go until you're in that position. Like, you can say, no, I'm a coward, I'm not going to do this, or yeah, rah, rah, I'm a hero, I'm going to do this. But you actually don't know until you're put into that situation.
That's true, that's fair.
And so, like, that whole sequence felt totally natural to me because it's like, you don't know.
I do feel like Frank and Nada are like brawlers.
Oh,
like,
they're brawlers. They're not going to turn down. Yeah.
So now the other guy at the table who's like doling out the weapons or whatever, he's like starts talking to them about the watches. And he's like, you know, these watches that they all wear, they're actually the radios and transporters. And he gives Frank one of the watches. He says, we're still trying to figure out how it actually works. But it's like, and then Frank pulled the little handheld Uzi, the little Uzi pistol. That's one of my all-time favorite movie guns.
Yep.
So Gilbert now, he's addressing everyone that's there, telling them, you know, we're not getting our message out to enough people. Earlier on, he had been convinced, Gilbert, that distributing the Hoffman lenses, the glasses, was not the way to do it, right? Because it was whatever, but to me, I feel like seeing is believing.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to believe this story without seeing it. Like some pirate signal cutting through my TV is not going to do it for me, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. But yeah, just having like a kooky dude on TV saying, I'm just like, motherfucker, get off my screen.
Yeah.
You're interrupting whatever show I'm watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Here.
I'll buy that for $1. You know, yeah.
But so then Gilbert's warning that the creatures are also getting better at rooting them out. And I don't, probably because you're wearing these conspicuous ass fucking big ass sunglasses, the blue blockers
with the contact lenses.
Sure,
they were on the verge of something.
Yeah. Right. So Gilbert says everyone needs to keep acting like you're brainwashed. Like go to work, punch your time clocks, do what's expected. And then the dude who we recognized from earlier, the young guy with the wife or the woman from the homeless camp, he's there. He's like saying basically it's time to stop talking and start fucking busting some heads around here.
He's on board.
The rabble, they seem into that idea. I feel like, I'm sort of like with that. Like, fuck you and the horse you rode in on, motherfuckers. Like,
it's time to get this shit done.
I'm done with like trying to wait for our opening.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're killing us all.
I get the instinct. Like we're trying to like look for the perfect moment, right? It's like, but there is no.
That's
perfect
what they say.
moment.
Like life is what happens when you're making your plans.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So Gilbert says, and we need to bide our time. We got to figure out where the creature's signal is coming from so we can shut that shit down. Then he says that's really the only way to snap everybody out of the trance. So Gilbert says there's one guy in our group here who works for the local TV station. He thinks he knows where the signal might be coming from. And then this voice rings out from the back saying that aforementioned TV station is clean. The signal must be coming from someone else. And it's Holly.
Yeah.
Who we haven't seen for a minute.
She's disappeared, and now all of a sudden she shows back up again.
Presumably, she put the sunglasses on that
That's
not left
what we're led to
behind. She's
believe.
like been realized, oh shit, this dude was telling me the
Yep.
truth.
Yep.
People are murmuring like, who is this woman? How does she know this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Murmur, 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 murmur. Did you see the Man with Two Brains ever? The Steve Martin flick? That's great. What are they saying? They're saying murmur.
Murmur, murmur.
Murmur, 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 murmur. I love that shit.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, so Gilbert's like, right, okay, the important thing is we got to figure out where's the origin of this signal. Gilbert tells everyone, try if you're approached, if they try to recruit you, join it. Accept that shit, infiltrate their ranks, and figure it out. Which is that's the best idea, right?
And it seems like the aliens have been doing that because as we've established,
there's lots of human who are collaborating with those motherfuckers. But yeah, let's get some spies in their ranks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Nada walks over to talk to Holly. She asks if he's okay. He says he is. She's like, oh, I was worried I'd killed you. And he's like, yeah, I was worried. I thought you had killed me too. She says, I didn't realize that you were telling me the truth. And she says she's sorry. What do you make of this performance? She's so soft spoken, like it's hushed, it's whispery.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It always felt unsettling to me. She always felt like
she's really calm.
Yeah. We'll get to it at some point.
Yeah.
But when the final act, the final turn happens, I wasn't that surprised because of her performance, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. She was the weakest link for me in the movie.
Really? Okay.
From beginning to end, because I never really believed that she was anything other than villainous. I'm spoiling it a little bit.
She has this weird look about her that it's off-putting, so it makes you, I think, automatically sort of think there's something off about her.
Yeah, exactly. And and
I think that I will say the first time I was watching it, I don't think I assumed she was a villain.
Right.
I don't necessarily think I assumed she was like on the level, but I wasn't like, oh, this bitch is definitely gonna turn on him in the end. So I think I was sort of like, it worked in a way that was like slightly surprising in the end.
I mean, it worked as a surprising moment the most when she's actually there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, she's definitely a bad guy. And then when she shows him, like, oh, wow, I completely read her wrong. Oh, shit, I shouldn't. Right. So, and it worked in that sense.
It keeps you on the fence, I guess. It does
keep you on the fence. Like, her performance does keep you very much on the fence of, like, maybe she's just very, like, the way I chalked it up was maybe she does know and like, sort of was suppressing it. And then when she's confronted with reality, she just doesn't know how to deal with it.
I think a lot of the people who were recruited were maybe recruited under false pretenses, right? Like,
exactly.
We're not here to hurt anybody.
Right.
Like, we're making to make you rich if you just help.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's going to get rich.
Everybody's going to get rich.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
And so that's the way I sort of took it, like from a performance standpoint.
Yeah.
So
because a lot of the people who are collaborators seem like they're maybe not fully aware of what the full extent of how fucked up everything is.
At the very least, there's a lot of rationalization going in.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that's reality too, though.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
People like even selling out. Yeah, but you would do the same thing. Like, it's like that.
Right. And so she was one of those, but then when confronted with the horribleness of it, then she like has a huge like.
Well, I do think there's a connection between her and Nada.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Genuine. It's not like I think she really likes him for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but
I mean, again, Roddy Piper has just sort of a natural. You kind of just want to like this guy.
Yeah.
Like he does have this like natural
He's
aura.
a like, blue collar, like working class hero thing about him.
Really does have that vibe.
Yeah.
And so I totally get that from that perspective. But anyway, this is a huge divergence. I'm sorry.
But Holly, she seems like she's like sort of maybe going to ask him of like, why don't we just like run away together?
Let's
like
get the fuck
leave
outta
this
here.
fucking battle behind.
And you
like,
kind of believe it. Like she's looking for a reason.
I think she was maybe sincere in this moment.
Yeah.
But right then, there's a huge explosion. There's an army of cops are like breaching the warehouse. Fucking drama's picking up big time. Ruh-roh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
it's not good.
Yeah, so that's where we're gonna leave us off before the final chapter.
Best cliffhanger you could ask for.
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week. And otherwise, look forward to it. Don't watch the movie. Otherwise, you're going to have spoilers for the episode.
Or do watch it.
Or do
watch along
it.
with us. We love it. There's no wrong way to do this thing. We'll be back.
We'll be back.